You know, leopards and cresties and leaf tails and shoeys.
Tokays and fat tails, Phelsuma and lychees.
But do you recall the most obscure geckos of all?
Knobtails and also gold tails, with some banded geckos too.
And if you want some bling, you can have electric blues.
All of the other geckos used to laugh and call them names.
They never let poor Hardwick join in Euploferid games.
Then one sunny January day, Herps and Derps came to say,
Even though you are obscure, won't you join the cast today?
then all the keepers loved them.
And they shouted out with glee,
All of the obscure geckos.
they'll go down in history. Hello, welcome to the Herps and Derps Podcast with me, Colin Vaccaro, and
Me, Cole Dickinson. Our subject today, as you heard from that beautiful song, is obscure gecko species. And
let's get right into it.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I love geckos.
Yeah, same here. So for me, I'm not too much of a gecko expert. I am more of an Abronia guy, but I do know quite a bit.
Yeah, Abronia definitely deserve their own episode one day.
Yeah.
But
so let's get right into them. So
yeah,
what do you really want to talk about first?
I say let's talk about knob-tailed geckos.
Knobtail geckos. Okay.
Knobtail
So
geckos.
knobtails, you probably already know them, but they're really, really cool Australian ground species of geckos.
You're going to find that a lot of the species we talk about today are Australian, simply because they're kind of obscure to us North American keepers, and also a lot of the European keepers as well. But knobtails are probably the most famous of all the Australian geckos.
Yeah, I mean, and they're probably the most common on this list, I would say.
Yeah, I could see that as well.
But yeah, so there are two types of knobtails. You got like smooth knobtails, you got rough knobtails.
And then you also have the thick-tailed geckos, which are kind of a side group. There's
they're not.
There's two genera. There is Nephurus and there is Underwoodosaurus. And Underwoodosaurus are the thick-tailed geckos. It's a monotypic genus. It's only Underwoodosaurus millii. And then Nephurus has a few species, there's the rough and smooth knob-tailed geckos in Nephurus.
And I mean, they're really cool as well, because if you keep them, you can also keep them in colonies. So
yeah,
I believe up to four geckos.
You got to,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, a lot of them can live in groups.
No,
the only one I wouldn't keep is the giant rough knobtail, which is Nephurus amii. And those guys, they get fairly large, like probably around the same weight as an adult leopard gecko. They have a bigger build though. Don't have a very long tail since they're knobtails. They have a little thing that comes off the end of their butt basically, and that's their tail.
Yeah.
They didn't drop it. It's just they're like that.
I mean, it's just that's their name. They're not called knobtailed geckos for a reason.
I've heard from some keepers that actually they're not, even the males, they don't act aggressively to one another. Instead, basically what both of them do is they kind of just get annoyed at each other. They both raise their tails and they slowly wave them back and forth. A lot of people think that they have this little ball on the end of their tail, and a lot of people think it's actually a sensory device, so they'll use it to, like, communicate, and they can use it to basically, like, touch things. It's pretty wild, but they'll wave both of their tails, and then they may, like, mock strike at one another, and then both of them will just walk in different directions. Now, granted, I mean, it's pretty weird that two male geckos do that. I mean, they can really do damage to each other if they get mad enough at each other, so I still wouldn't recommend keeping males together. But the females together will do perfectly fine, and a male and a group of females, as long as you, like, monitor them. Yeah, they're...
And also, keep them on sand. They're like...
Yeah, exactly.
One of the few reptile species that you're supposed to keep on sand.
Yeah.
Sand is not the devil. Some reptiles actually like it.
Strangely enough, a lot of these geckos that we're going to talk about can also be kept on sand. just because
Sand is not the devil.
sand is not the devil, especially when it comes to these geckos. Like the knobtails, they come from
I
these
know.
sandy deserts of
A
Australia.
lot of people in herpetoculture just think sand is just awful and like death.
Granted, for some species it is.
It is. It is.
Yeah, like I would not keep like your freaking corn snake on sand.
Bro, what do you mean? Corn snake in sand, perfect for burrows. I mean, who needs any arboreal structures anyway? Okay,
Just
what
a
I
bucket
do
of sand.
for corn snake, first of all, I get this. I get a Tupperware container, like 1 by 1. Yeah, sure. 1 foot by 1 foot. Just like fill it up. It's like 3 inches high in sand. Like, so there's an inch between like no sand and the lid. Just chuck that sucker in there. I mean, like, it's got a water dish that's like half the size of its enclosure anyway, so it like doubles up as a hide.
You gotta put a red heat bulb over it.
Oh heck yeah, red heat bulbs. That's it.
Oh, dude. But yeah, knobtailed geckos
Yeah.
are. They also have really, really big eyes.
I mean, it just if you didn't know that was a joke, please.
Yeah, that
please
was a
don't
joke. Do not
that.
keep your corn
Please
snake
don't
that
do
way.
that.
But knobtailed geckos have really big eyes.
They do.
I
It makes
heard-
them really cute. They're so cute.
Yeah, I heard one person call them. I showed them a picture of a knobtail, and they said that it was the anime girl lizard. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it was really funny. And Nephurus amii, going back to the giant rough knobtail, which is one of my favorite species. That and I think Nephurus pilbarensis is really cool. But the
Yeah.
the amii, they're actually primarily lizard eaters.
They are.
Yeah, they
will eat
other
a
geckos.
lot of small lizards in their
Yeah.
area.
And actually, they'll eat other knobtailed geckos.
They
And
do.
What's really weird is that Australia doesn't have a whole lot of like crickets and things.
I
So
know, but so a lot of the lizard species actually eat other lizards.
Yeah, but the smaller ones actually mainly eat spiders. Isn't that weird?
I know.
Yeah.
Australia is just such a fascinating environment.
It really is, and it's just, I mean, it just like takes the.
Personally, the Ackies are my favorite, but that's for another time.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about Australian monitors another time as well. But
I'm a monitor guy.
Yeah. What else about knobtailed geckos, you think? They're
Mating
big
displays?
burrowers. They're burrowers.
They are. Mating displays, maybe?
Yeah, they'll do the same thing as I was saying with the male to male like annoyance displays. The male will basically do the same thing to a female. He'll wave his tail and he kind of stands up. He like stretches his legs and he stands up as high as he can, arches his back and wiggles his tail like really high in the air.
Yes, sir.
And if the female is
as high as he can because they're tiny tails.
Oh, they're tiny. They're really small geckos. They're probably like 20 grams at most for the most part. They'll wiggle their tails above their heads, and if the female is interested, then she'll just keep watching, and then eventually she'll act receptive. While if she is not receptive and does not want to mate, then she will actually mimic a male, and she will raise her tail above her head, and she'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
Which I think that's kind of weird. That like, I mean, technically you see that in leopard geckos as well, kind of.
Ish, yeah. But, so I think we should move on to banded geckos.
You want to move on to the banded geckos? Well, kind of speaking about leopard geckos, we're going to be talking about a eublepharid next, which are the banded geckos. You want to take it away, Collin?
Banded geckos, yes. Okay, so banded geckos, it's weird why they're not called leopard geckos, because they actually have rosettes.
Yeah,
and they look so much more like a leopard. They're built like a leopard. Like, listen. Okay. Leopard geckos, they're fat, dude. Like, they're so fat. And the build. What?
Definitely. Yeah, they're fat.
Yeah. In the build of banded geckos, it's just so much more like a leopard. I mean, banded geckos for leopard geckos, honestly. Switch the names. No. But so they're found in North America. They're also in Central America too.
Yep.
They're fantastic species. They're pretty small.
Species. I think they're about
and they live
7 species of banded geckos.
Yeah, they live up in rock crevices. And correct me if I'm wrong. Don't they live in colonies?
Yeah, they're another colonial species. In fact, they do much better in colonies than like leopard geckos do. Some people keep leopard geckos in colonies, which I am not opposed with as long as you're keeping like monitoring them well. But banded
Yeah.
geckos do really well in colonies.
Yeah, I know they do. And so they're insectivorous. They
Yep.
love a good cricate.
Yeah, the largest species is oh, by the way, they're all in the genus Coleonyx. The largest one is, I think it's the Central American banded gecko, which is Coleonyx. I totally forget the name. I'll put it up right now, but they're really cool. That was the one that I showed you that was like the red with the yellow like stripes on it.
No, isn't it Coleonyx mituratus?
Yeah, Coleonyx mitriatus. That's it. That's it.
Mituratus, yeah.
Yeah, that
They're they're
one.
they're big too. Like they're pretty big.
They get about the size of a
They
leopard
look.
gecko.
I
A lot
know
of
they're
the other ones are
fantastic.
really small. That's like maybe 10 grams at most. They're tiny. Like
I know,
the
and like
Texas bandits. That's my personal
they're
favorite.
so,
Is the west. Oh, actually,
oh for sure.
I like the
They're
western
such
banded geckos.
nice. They're such a nice species to keep, and they're pretty easy too.
Oh, they're extremely easy. I mean, they're another species that you can keep on sand.
I know.
Actually,
Like it
I
is not the
wouldn't
devil.
I wouldn't keep the tropical species because
Yeah.
there's desert and there's tropical species. Like the Central American ones, I would keep them more like along the lines of a Malaysian cat
I
gecko. But
like I would say reptisoil. That's nice if you
yeah,
can,
yeah,
or
yeah.
just actual pot soil,
Pot soil,
topsoil.
or you could do like coconut fiber, which I don't really like
Yeah,
doing, but you
maybe
could do that.
maybe cypress mulch. I don't know about cypress mulch.
No, that seems like that could be
Yeah, it'd
ingested
be a
and
bit
that
too
would
hard for them.
yeah.
Yeah,
Cuz they're tiny little geckos.
'cause that's pushing it,
Yeah,
and they're
that's pushing
soft
it.
too. They're squishy.
Yeah, you got to be careful cuz their skin, they don't have tubercles like a lot of the European and Western Asian Eublepharoids do. Their skin is like very, very soft and silky. So that's another thing you
Hmm.
gotta be careful about is when you're keeping them. You can't really like if you're handling them, you've got to be really careful. They can be tamed down really, really well. I've seen some that are as tame as like an African fat-tailed gecko or a leopard gecko, but at the same time, you've got to be really delicate with them because they'll drop their tails, and I would not hand one to a child at all
Yeah, no.
because they're pretty
A
delicate
lot of the
little
species we're
guys.
already talking about is not. No, don't hand it to a kid.
Yeah, like
They're
knobtails.
they're they're delicate. They're very delicate.
Yeah, like
Knobtails are tiny.
knobtails. I would not. They're not good handling geckos. The only one that is there's two that are okay with handling, and that would be the thick-tailed gecko, the Underwoodosaurus millii, and going back again is the giant rough knobtail, which is Nephurus amii, and they're simply okay with handling just because they're so big. But still, they're much more of a display animal, and the banded geckos as well. They're a crepuscular species or a nocturnal species, depending on the species. And they're fun to watch though. When they hunt, they're a lot more active when they hunt. They'll stalk their prey, they pounce. And some of them are semi-arboreal as well, like Coleonyx mitratus, the Central American. They'll definitely use some of the low-hanging vegetation and bark and wood and stuff.
Yeah.
And as Colin said, they live in like rock crevices, so even the more arid species they'll still climb up rocks, rock faces. The people who herp for them will actually walk along cliffs essentially and look in the cracks in between the cliffs. And oftentimes there's going to be like a Coleonyx who has wedged himself into the cliff, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, they're pretty common as well. Like in Texas.
Oh, they're incredible. Well, some species are incredibly common, and some species
Yeah,
are critically endangered.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. You're talking about like the
Yeah.
Texas and the Western banded geckos. Yeah, those guys all over the place. You lift up a piece of tarp and you'll find 3 under the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
So,
yeah.
do we want to move on or keep talking about them?
We can move on. We can move on. We haven't really talked about them for too long, but we can definitely move on to the
Yeah.
next one. Do you want to move on to the
banded geckos? They're for sure my thing. I love them to
the
death.
banded geckos? Oh yeah, Collin loves banded geckos. What's your favorite
do.
species again? Didn't you like Metratus?
I think yeah. It's between Texas and Metratus.
I like the Western banded geckos because I just love their like little saddles. It almost looks like a boa constrictor, like they have little saddles on them. And then they also will have some of
the Westerns.
Huh?
I haven't looked too much in the Westerns, but oh
Westerns
my
are pretty.
gosh.
Are you looking at them?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
They're gorgeous.
I love it. Oh
I would
my
love
gosh,
a
that's
breeding group of them.
fantastic. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That is amazing.
Collin is reacting to Western banded geckos.
For the first time. That is. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
They are beautiful. They're beautiful.
And oh my gosh, they look so different too. Like it's because there's a lot of variation I'm seeing.
Oh, they're a highly variable species. I will put some pictures of them.
Ooh, that is.
I'll put some pictures of them up as we're talking about them.
Oh, for sure. This is fantastic. So for me, I do love the Texas just because the rosettes.
Yeah, I think Collin is actually right now. He's actually ordering some Western banded geckos. If only we had the space.
If only, yeah. So every reptile keeper's like, what do we want? More reptiles? Where we put them? We don't know.
Exactly, dude. You've got to be careful. You can fall definitely into a loop, into a hole, and then you won't have enough time or space or resources to care for them.
Yeah, see, if I want to get a species, for me, what draws me to a species is intelligence. For sure.
I like
hence why I love Abronia.
Intelligence is a big factor. I like handleability, I like looks, and I also like education.
With intelligence though. Why I like intelligence is because with intelligence you can get them handleable. Because with Abronia, he's pretty dang handleable.
Yeah.
I did do the same strategy basically where I just I feed him on me.
It's just so
I get him to I get him to associate food with a certain object, so that when I open up the cage, he doesn't automatically think I'm gonna feed him.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I put it in front of him and get him to crawl up onto my arm, and then feed him on the arm, so he associates me with positive experiences.
Yeah.
But not me with food. Hence why I use a specific object.
It's like target training.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely, because there was we went to an exotic pet store that's just a locally owned one, and they had a male Abronia graminia for sale, and we were asking to handle it because it's an Abronia for sale. Yeah. And you don't see that too often, and the person was like, "Oh no, yeah, you can't handle him. He's aggressive as like a tokay gecko," and I was like,
"It's an Abronia.
It's an Abronia."
I mean, the bites hurt, but it's not bad by any means.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been bitten. They do have very, very, very mild venom, if you even call it venom.
Yeah, I would call it more.
They're toxic cough. It's like an anticoagulant.
Yeah, it's along the lines of like a Nerodia bite.
It's in the saliva. Yeah.
Yeah. We're kind of getting off topic.
We are, but I love Abronia. We'll do an episode about Abronia.
We'll do an episode all about Abronia. What next? You choose the next gecko we talk about, Collin.
Golden tails.
Golden
tails are.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew it.
Fantastic species. So how many species of them are there? Is it just 2?
No, there is a lot. Hold on, let me look it up real quick.
Oh wait, hold up. So this might be the next species that I get because oh gosh,
there is quite a few of them. Hold on, let me look up. There is 20 species. And they live all across Australia. The one that Colin really likes is Strophaurus tainicata, which is the golden spiny tail gecko.
I know, they're just, oh my gosh, they're fantastic.
I personally like Strophaurus ciliatus, which is the northern spiny tail gecko. Or sorry, not ciliatus. I'm thinking about Coralophus ciliatus.
Coralophus.
It
Yeah.
is Strophaurus ciliaris, which is the northern spiny tailed gecko.
I mean,
And
I would actually, I don't know. I mean, I'm liking
you like ciliaris?
Ciliaris. I don't.
Ciliaris is
It's hard.
pretty.
It's really hard. No, if I'm liking Ciliaris, it's got to be a high white.
Yeah, definitely. The thing about they're called spiny-tailed geckos because they're these little tiny geckos, probably 4 inches long, snout to the end of the tail, and they're these tiny little geckos, and they have these little tiny they have 1 row of spines, or it's 2 rows of spines on their tail, and it goes all the way down their tail. And what they will do is when they feel threatened, they will actually raise up their tail, and they will squirt liquid out of their tail, like out of the spines. They basically will spray their enemy. And it's like this sticky web-like thing.
Like, name any reptile species that does that.
Exactly, dude. It's like that one dragon from
No, it's like the beetle. It's the beetle.
It is like the beetle. I was thinking of like that one dragon from How to Train Your Dragon that shoots the spines. You know?
Oh, the natter.
The natter, deadly natter. Yeah.
We're getting off topic, but yeah.
But yeah. Those guys, Strophaurus, they're incredible.
They're so beautiful.
And what's really odd about them is that they're from the they're basically from like the Australian outback, but they're almost completely arboreal.
Actually, like Williamsii a lot. Strophaurus Williamsii.
Williamsii are pretty. The Williamsii are pretty underrated.
They are.
But yeah, it's really odd.
They have blue mouths, don't they? Like blue inside.
Yeah. They'll when they do their threat display with their tail and squirting the liquid, they will actually open up their mouth as well to show that blackish blue inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just some of the most fascinating little reptiles.
I would just keep them just to like watch their behaviors.
Oh yeah, they're another communal species, and another thing that's incredible about them is that they're handleable.
Yeah,
they're very.
Which is weird. Like a lot of the smaller arboreal geckos are actually pretty handleable. Yeah, it's just like we have the stereotype of Phelsuma geckos, which are just like
Phelsuma,
not handleable.
Phelsuma have ruined the reputation of smaller arboreal geckos being handleable.
Fish scale geckos. We don't talk about fish scale geckos.
Oh, fish scale geckos.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful, but like cool. You cannot touch them.
Yeah. Those
do not. Just no.
Just don't touch fish scale geckos. But the thing is that like these are tiny little arboreal geckos that are extremely slow moving, or they can be quick. They can be very quick, but they're extremely good with handling. They'll walk straight onto your hand if you put your hand in the enclosure. I find that I really enjoy that, how it kind of breaks.
I love geckos. I love species that just walk onto you.
Exactly, yeah. Like I've trained my leopard gecko to sometimes do that. Like I'll basically do the same thing. I'll have
same with the Abronia.
Huh?
See, for Abronia, it's like Vasconcelosi will like
yeah.
We'll climb up for sure. I mean, I know like in Europe, some people have had Vasconcelosi that will do that.
Oh, that's cool. But yeah, these Strophaurus geckos, if you're looking for a species, like a really cool species of arboreal gecko that you can keep in like a 12 by 18 or like a 12 by 24.
If you can find them, then get them.
I will say, if you look hard enough,
You can find.
they're not that hard to find. And they're about 250.
I mean, that's like price of an Abronia.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Not too bad. For
I'm putting us all to just Abronia standards.
they're not. They're
I
not
am.
an Abronia. They're definitely not an
Can you
Abronia.
tell that I like Abronia yet? Who would possibly know?
Yeah, they're definitely, if you're looking for a really odd gecko that's gonna make like even your reptile keeping friends be like, what the heck is that?
I want it.
Then a Strophaurus is the perfect gecko. And the thing is, people in Australia keep them as like beginners. Like, it's a beginner gecko in Australia.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen videos of like kids that have pet Strophaurus ciliaris.
No, it's just Australia has so many fantastic reptile species. They're a bit harder to get here, but please keep them and breed them and flood the markets. We need more.
Exactly, yeah. I will say, if you're keeping Strophaurus, you better be breeding them, and you better be offering them to it. I'm joking.
Yeah. Yes, give them now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
definitely, if you're looking for something cool, Strophaurus, they're nice.
Touch. I know.
They're
I just
so
love
cool.
them.
Also, their eyes.
And one of
man.
my favorites. It's just this like the really spotted ones.
Yeah, their eyes too. Their eyes are like red, and they have like black stripes all through them, and then they have white that outlines their pupils. They're what's not to love about them? Oh wow! And they also, I forgot to even tell that they have like a little pair of hornlets over their eyes. Or
They do.
Ciliaris has that. There's a few more.
And
Intermedius. Intermedius has
Oh.
2 rows of spines that go all the way down their back like a crested gecko.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, they're just so cool.
Looking at pictures, they're awesome.
I'll put some pictures up as we're talking
Please
about them.
do. People need to see these species.
Dude, you need to see these. If you've never heard of these, look them up. They're so cool.
Please, and get them.
Get them.
Because like everyone's got a leopard gecko. I don't. Okay.
Leopard geckos are
Leopards
great.
and cresties, they're overrated. Like they're good to keep, but like
they're good. They're great for beginners. I love that they're popular, but at the same time, there are so many cool species that need the recognition.
Listen, you don't. Okay, look at this morph. Look at that morph. Wow, this morph is amazing. Move on.
Exactly, dude.
Listen, listen, if you want morphs, we need morphs for new species. Like, listen,
I don't
have
even
like
care about
thousands.
Morphs. When you have a Strophaurus that's like white with orange splotches, you don't need a morph for that.
No, you don't. And most of these species are so extremely variable.
Exactly. Like you look at the Western
banded geckos. You
can
find something that you like. Exactly. I know.
Yeah, dude. I have leopard gecko. I have crested geckos. I love them. They're awesome. They're easy to keep. They're great at handling, and I would say that they're even great for children. Yet, if you're just getting into reptiles and you would rather, like, I would probably push something like a Western banded gecko or
if you're just getting into them. If you're just getting into them and you have the resources, see, that's the problem. Most people get into it and they're like, "Oh, I want to spend like $100 on."
Yeah, and a lot of people are also like, "Oh, I want to get into them, but like I need to have."
It's not that it's not the care that's it's expensive. It's just the upfront cost.
Yeah. Another thing that a lot of people will say is like, "Oh, I need to get a beginner animal first, so I can then have my intermediate animal." And I'm like, there's not, if you're just getting an animal just to get experience for another animal, you're not giving that animal the best life that it can have.
Yeah. Listen, don't get a monitor off the bat. Just don't.
Don't get a monitor off the bat. I'm not telling you to get a monitor off the bat, do not do that.
Or, yes, 24-foot reticulated python.
Crocodile monitors for everyone.
Yes.
Don't do that. But like,
No, like actually, like if you know what you're doing, and if like get a tegu.
Yeah,
Get a tegu. Because listen,
I could see a
tegu
tegu being a great
if
first
you not
reptile.
if you can keep a dog, you can keep a tegu.
Yeah, I mean, do the research. Make sure you know what
Do
you're
the
getting
research for
into
sure.
with a tegu.
Vary the diet. Vary the diet. They need that, and it's a lot of research. Listen, if you do the research for a species and you think about it and you weigh all the odds, you do the pros and cons, and you say this is the reptile for me, then there should be
Exactly.
nothing stopping you from getting it.
I agree 100%.
Other than if it's a very defensive species.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes in the research portion. Nobody's gonna
Yeah.
get like a savannah monitor.
Yeah, but again, you got to weigh the pros and cons.
Exactly. And Strophuris are incredible.
They are.
Have we mentioned how much we love Strophuris geckos?
Have we mentioned? I know.
Oh, dude.
They're so fantastic. I can't get over it.
I am redoing my Crested Gecko's tank, and I'm gonna have an empty 12x12 by 24. And man, I'm gonna be holding.
Check out my channel if you want to see the Vivarium build.
I'm gonna be needing someone to hold me by my shirt collar if I ever see a Strophuris at a reptile show. That is all I'm saying.
Oh. Yeah.
All I'm saying, like, I got close.
No, Cole, I would just feed the flames. I would feed the fire.
You would. That's why I'm not allowed to go to reptile shows just with you and me.
Oh my gosh, we would come home with like 40 reptiles.
Dude, I'd come home with a carpet python, a Russian rat snake, a freaking Nile monitor.
You already know what I would come home. You already know what I would come home with.
I already know
all the Abronia that I could find.
Abronia. If you can find Abronia, I don't usually see them at shows too much.
I know it's the female. I need females.
Yeah, if anyone.
And they're more expensive.
If anyone has a female.
Graminias.
Abronia Graminia.
Female Graminias. Hook me up.
Yeah.
I have a tank large enough to house too, but I mean, so Abronia, I shouldn't be talking about this in this.
Yeah, let's save all this.
I must talk.
We'll save all this for another episode because then we won't have enough. We won't have enough for the next episode.
We can just restate. Okay. No. They're better solo, but you can keep them in pairs.
Yeah. Another thing with the Strophuris geckos, we're getting really off topic with these Strophuris.
Okay, back to Strophuris.
Back to Strophuris. They're another species that you can house on sand as well. They need a very thin layer of sand, mind you, because they
are arboreal.
They're mostly arboreal, yeah, but they're just so cool. Okay,
onward. Moment when the ball python's in the tree, and the green trees on the ground.
The green trees on the ground. What is happening? All right. Now speaking of slow-moving arboreal geckos that secrete liquid, let's talk about chameleon geckos.
Okay. So, Urodactylodes.
Urodactylodes, indeed. By the way, the Strophuris are actually a type of diplodactylid, so they're actually they're related to crested geckos.
So Urodactylodes, are there, I believe, 4 species, right? 4 species.
There's Viliarity, there's
Agricoli.
That's the one that you normally see in the pet trade. I don't really know. I'll look it up real quick. I'll look it up. You keep talking.
Yeah, okay, so I'll talk. So, chameleon geckos, there are 2 different types. So, there's chameleon geckos in Australia, which look a lot more like cat geckos. But they're still really cool. They got a banded tail. They're arboreal. They got really long legs. But the chameleon geckos we're talking about today are New Caledonian.
Collin.
So they're a very what?
You were right. There's 4 species.
Yeah. So they're a New Caledonian species. They are very, very small, and oh my gosh, nothing looks like them. They are completely unique.
They shouldn't be called chameleon geckos.
They shouldn't. They look like little dragons, and when I say they look like little dragons, they do. I mean, their scales, it's so weird looking because they got orange skin and green scales on top.
Yeah. And then their eyes are like, they have these cute little goofy crested gecko looking eyes.
If you play Monster Hunter, it's almost like a Devil Joe in the way that you see the muscle underneath the scale.
Yeah, they're called chameleon geckos because they're incredibly slow moving. And that makes them
They're also pretty variable. They're pretty variable.
They're
You
pretty
got from like
variable.
greens and blacks and browns.
They're
But for me, it's just go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say they're called chameleon geckos. Oh, well, yeah, because they're slow moving, and
Because
that
they are
makes
just
them
slow moving.
yeah, that makes them really great for handling.
Yeah, they're fantastic, and they tame down so super well. They're really tiny though, so I wouldn't recommend with very very small children.
But
But like I would, if you know what you're doing. They're such a fantastic species, and again, they
they're
can be a beginner. You just gotta be careful with them.
oh no, and the thing is, they have the exact same care as a crested gecko, except just on
Yeah,
a smaller scale. So
which means less money.
exactly, they don't need as big of
Well,
a
I mean,
tank.
they're more expensive up front
They're more expensive
for
than a
sure.
crested gecko, but still,
Well, maybe
they're
not a female.
not a female. Oh heck no, I would
It's so dumb. Why are females so much money?
because they make eggs.
You gotta smell them, feel them, crack them open.
open. Oh, dude.
Oh,
Yeah, but it's the same care as a crested gecko. They eat crested gecko diet. They occasionally will eat crickets as well and mealworms and all that goodness, insect goodness. I don't blame them. Crickets and mealworms are very good when cooked right. We should do an entire episode just about entomophagy.
Oh my gosh.
We should.
Okay, yeah.
We're gonna do that.
They're good. They're really good.
We'll do an episode about entomophagy. But chameleon geckos, man. Colin, I thought that you were gonna get some at one point.
I was, but then the whole pandemic thing happened.
Why? Why?
I know. The whole pandemic thing happened. I was gonna get a pair.
Yeah, I
pair.
used to know. I used to see him at reptile shows, and I used to see him.
Agricoli breeder.
Yeah, I used to know an Agricoli breeder, and every time I would go to a show, he'd be there, and I'd just stop by his table and see how his groups were doing, how his pairs were doing, and dude, he was awesome. I was gonna at one point I was actually going to buy a couple from him, but again, whole pandemic thing happened. I wasn't able to...
and you're too hesitant, Cole. You're way too hesitant.
I am pretty hesitant. I was wanting to buy one of his breeders that he was selling.
But being hesitant is not bad at all.
Oh, it's not. It's really not.
Research.
That's what I've learned.
It's research.
Yeah.
You were gonna get a lot of the species on this list. You were.
I was, yeah, and I still
like the fat tails for sure. No, thick tails. You almost got a thick tail.
I almost got a thick tail at one point.
You should have gotten a thick tail. I'm just saying.
Hey, Colin, there's still time.
Bubba, get it.
I have an open space.
You do. Well,
we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's the chameleon geckos, man. Oh, also, talking about the secreting liquid, you were probably thinking, oh, the Strophaurus are the only geckos that will secrete a really foul-smelling liquid when they get scared. But you're wrong, because Eurodactylodes, the chameleon geckos, will do that as well.
Yes.
This time, it is not as cool as spraying webs out of their tail. They actually secrete it out of 2 orange pores right next to their anus. So...
yeah.
So not as cool. And apparently it smells awful. Like, it is terrible. But with, like, captive bred ones,
lemurs actually do the tail thing, too. Lemurs? Well, they have stink glands. They rub their tails on it. Shoo!
Yeah.
They have stink fights. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the ringtails do that.
Ringtails, yeah.
But chameleon geckos, they rarely, if ever, will do their anal stink.
Yeah. They're really chill species. Listen, if you get them in captivity, they're going to be absolutely fine. Same thing with the Strophaurus.
Yeah, they don't. Stropurus, you're not gonna have to worry about freaking Spider-Man lizard.
I want to see that though. I want to go
do
the
too.
wild and see that. I really do.
Um,
Because the threat displays are just so unique.
yeah, the Eurodactylotes as well, though. They're about 4 inches long, maybe 5.
Yeah.
They're little. They're little guys. They're chunky. They have really tiny legs.
And they got fat tails, really fat, long
They got
tails.
thick tails. They got real thick
tails.
tails.
They're awesome. I just love the way their tails look. I don't know why, but I freaking love it.
Yeah, they've got little like.
I love
thick
the way
tails.
a Bronia tails look too.
Oh, who doesn't?
Because I know they're just
yeah, but the Eurodactylotes
aren't
tails.
Yeah, their tails are also prehensile.
Yeah, they're semi-prehensile, but their tails are about as thick as their body are.
I know. They're so fantastic looking.
I love their tiny little
nothing
legs.
looks quite like them.
Their legs are adorable, how tiny they are, and they kind of just
I know, they're like literally stubby.
They slowly
it's like a dragon. It's just like a dragon.
Yeah,
what can I say?
Huh?
I'm like, they're so chunky and they're cute.
They're adorable. They're like a little chibi gecko.
They are. They're oh my gosh, they're so freaking cute.
Get them all. I need all of the Eurodactylotes.
We do. No, we need all of the geckos on this list.
Oh heck yeah, dude! I'd totally breed.
I'm not too much of a gecko guy. I'm an obscure gecko guy. I'm not a mainstream gecko guy, as you could probably tell from me nerding out.
Dude, you need to get gecko. You've never experienced the joy that is keeping a gecko species.
Yeah. Well, I've kept them, but like,
I mean, you've kept some of mine before, so.
No, like before that, I did volunteer work. I've kept a lot of species of gecko.
What's your favorite species
they were
so far?
My favorite species?
Yeah, to keep.
Call me dumb, but I would say tokays.
Really? I something told me that you were gonna say that. I'm terrified of tokays. I held one. I got
them. I catch them in Miami.
I held one once, and I was like, "Oh, dude, never again."
Freaking gotta hold them. You have to hold them like a helidermid.
I free-handled mine.
Oh.
Yeah, it was on my hand, slowly getting louder, and it turned around and started like facing my wrist, and was eyeing my wrist, and I was like, "Oh,
dude, I hold them like helidermids.
Yeah,
like, or you gotta put their head between the two fingers so they can't whip around and bite you.
I was free handling it, and and it walked like right on the edge of the glove and was looking down at my wrist.
No, with volunteer work, like I've kept them long term. They just weren't mine.
Yeah.
Because like I don't have the space for like tons and tons and tons.
Yeah.
But what the fantastic thing about these geckos is they don't need a lot of space.
Exactly. Like Eurodactylotes.
You can keep anyone,
even
as long as you're not completely negligent, can keep these geckos.
Yeah, I mean, if
you do your research,
require daily maintenance, like spraying, but they're fed like every other day, just like a crested. It's crested gecko care. And a smaller,
but just in a smaller scale,
and a smaller package. So if you love crested geckos and you want something like a crested gecko that looks a little different,
and you can keep tons of them.
Yeah,
that's another bonus. You can keep more than one in the same enclosure.
Again, they're a communal species. They're not like crested geckos. Well, they'll fight to the death. They can do good in groups. They're extremely docile.
Fantastic animals. They are. They're just such fantastic animals. Also, I know we didn't put this on the list, but I want to talk about cat geckos.
The Malaysian cat geckos, the
Malaysian.
Allura
So there's two species. Allura scalabotes. So you have the Malaysian cat geckos.
They're two subspecies, actually. I don't think that they're.
Yeah, are they?
I think that they're subspecies because yeah, it's a monotypic genus, and there's two subspecies.
Yeah. Okay, so you got the Borneo, which are extremely, extremely rare, and the Malaysians. I personally like the Malaysians better. They're pretty dang cool.
I like the Malaysians too, actually. I don't like the green eyes of the Borneo. I think that's what it is.
It's just the patterning. The Malaysians are such more beautifully patterned.
Yeah, I agree.
nothing is quite like them. The way they curl their tails.
They are the most primitive species of squamate in the world.
Nothing, and I mean nothing, is quite like them.
There is a species of gecko called Cretaceous gecko, and it most likely looked a lot like a Malaysian cat gecko.
Yep.
Yeah.
They have their long, spindly legs, angular heads, very long, curly tails.
Yeah, Eublephaриdae evolved
Very
in
long
the
body.
Jurassic period, and it is the geckos are the most primitive group of squamates. And
cat geckos are the most primitive.
well, no.
Well,
Geckos are the most
yeah,
primitive
like
group of
arboreal. I would
squamates.
say arboreal, primitive arboreals.
No, because Eublepharids are the most primitive group of geckos.
No, but I say arboreal geckos.
What do you mean?
They're like cat geckos. I mean, they're like semi-arboreal because they can go.
Yeah, they're semi-arboreal. They can climb up to the tops of trees.
Yeah, no, you find them in trees more than you find them on the ground.
Oh, 100%. You'll find them.
Yeah, no, I'm saying they're like some of the most primitive arboreal species.
They're the most
Cat
primitive
geckos.
species in general. Because they're the most primitive species of Eublepharid, which is the most primitive species of gecko, which is the most primitive group of squamates.
Yeah.
So they're like a time, like a time capsule to the Jurassic period.
They are.
And they're phenomenal. They're nothing in the world is like a cat gecko.
I know, and their behavior too.
They're
like weird.
Eastern dragons, and the way that they're they're serpentine, and they have these long, spindly legs with these claws with these giant sheaths on them, and they literally have
the way they raise themselves up on the ground and they wave their tail and curl it.
And then when they sleep, they curl their body up like a ferret or a cat.
Dude, that's why they're called cat geckos.
Yeah, exactly. They have a purple tongue.
Yeah.
And they have
quite a few with just purple tongues.
Yeah, but it's
big black eyes.
Yeah, they're interesting, and then they'll display themselves in the middle of a tank.
Yeah, and they're extremely angular. Their heads are so angular.
Their heads are angular. They're the most angular. They're not robust at all. They're very slim, and they're pointed.
Yeah,
it's like an arrow.
Yeah, no, and if they open their mouths, you can see that perfectly. It's just a straight triangle and that purple dot at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. They're a very gracile build of a gecko. They're not robust at all. And that is something to keep in mind, is that they are extremely delicate.
Yeah. They're not a beginner species.
Not a beginner species. I mean, we were talking about, like, beginner species. If you really research, then you can still get it. I would heavily, like, say...
This is not a first lizard.
I would not get a Malaysian cat gecko if you've never had experience with arboreal geckos before. But that being said...
this is not, like... This is one of the only geckos on our list that is not... That is, like, just stay away from it because they're such a fragile species.
They are, and what's really, really sucky...
You can kill them very easily.
...about them is they're also, a lot of them are wild caught.
Yep.
I've only seen captive bred ones offered once, and I look for them fairly often because I just want to see, like, how...
And I love them.
Oh,
I love them.
Oh, yeah, of course. I would totally get them, and I would try to breed them, simply because...
You have quite a bit of experience with
arboreals. I feel like I could. I would be really scared. Because delicate species, I've had some bad experiences with.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if the Malaysian cat geckos are really even my cup of tea.
Because, I would not.
Yeah.
As of this point, I can admire them as species, but it's not something that I think I would want to keep.
Me too. I absolutely adore Aluriscalabodes, but I would not personally keep them at the time being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll go into something that you would like to keep. Let's start with the Hardwicks Gecko.
Oh, I knew. Okay, so we're on the Eublepharid bandwagon now.
We
Okay.
are.
So Hardwicks geckos, I think I may have mentioned. Did I mention them in the last episode when we were talking about how we got into reptiles?
I think you did.
I may have touched on them, but Hardwicks
And
geckos.
again, we're so sorry for the wait.
Oh yeah,
We just
again,
had a lot going on.
we should really apologize. We've had
Yeah.
a lot going on. We tried to do an episode, didn't really work out. We tried another one, didn't work out.
Didn't really work out, yeah.
Yeah, so we're really sorry. But
we try to get the pink tongue breeder and the Gidgee breeder. It just didn't work out too much.
It did
too
not
well.
work out very well. But yeah, Hardwicks geckos, man. They're a species of Eublepharis, so they're in the same genus as the leopard geckos. Like, that's Eublepharis macularis, and this is Eublepharis hardwicki, and it's the first species of Eublepharid ever described in 1827. So, quite a long time ago. And it's also called the East Indian leopard gecko, so they live in the... Huh?
I was just gonna say that, but yeah.
Yeah, they're found in, obviously, eastern India, and they're found in very humid areas. So
Yeah, and what's...
Sorry, what were you saying?
Keep going. What I was gonna say, what's really fantastic about them is because a lot of people want leopard geckos that retain the pattern of the babies.
Exactly, they're the only species of Eublepharid that actually keeps almost the exact juvenile color. They even keep their nuchal loop. They're the only species of Eublepharis that keeps the nuchal loop into adulthood. All of them have it as a juvenile, but only the hardwicki retains it into adulthood. They're a lot like African fat-tailed geckos in the sense that they're exactly.
Yeah.
And also
said perfectly.
Their demeanor is kind of along the lines. They're a little bit shyer than leopard geckos, but I think that they can they can tame down. I've seen a lot of people who have very tamed hardwicki.
Yeah, and you saw one once.
I held one.
You almost got him. You almost did.
Yeah, back in like 2 or 3 years ago. I don't even know how long how long it's been at this point that I found one at the reptile show. And I got really close to buying it, but then I was like, you know what? I'll do a little bit more research. I'll buy it later. It's all right. If I found them for sale at this tiny reptile show, this tiny local reptile show, I'll find some more. It won't be that hard, right?
And he never found him again.
And I have found some for sale.
No, but not in person.
Not in person. Never again in person. I found some for sale online, and as soon as I acquire the means to get one, it sells.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah, you should have got it. You really should have.
You know, Colin, did I even tell you that I found 3 for sale right now?
Have you been doing that this entire podcast, just looking for geckos?
No, I found them.
It seems very you.
It sounds something like I would do, but
it does.
But I found them a couple weeks ago, actually.
Okay. It is a very you thing to do.
It's a very me thing to do. You should see me during class.
Kole, I swear.
Dude, the entire class I just have morph market pulled up, bro.
God, I know you do.
Oh, dude.
And for me, I'm just looking at Abronia stuff because I mean, have I mentioned how much I love Abronia?
I am the god of finding reptiles for sale on classifieds.
Oh my god.
Dude, I literally I play this game with some of my friends, and I need to play it with you where you name a reptile and see how fast I can find one for sale.
Let's do that after the podcast.
Yeah, we'll do it after the podcast.
Well, no, you know what? If we do stream.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that as part of the live stream. You guys can we'll tell about our YouTube channels at the very end. But yeah, one person said Gila monster, and I found one for sale in like minutes.
0.05
Yeah,
seconds.
dude. Yeah, they're pretty easy to find.
I know where to find them.
Same here.
Oh, there's some fantastic breeders for them.
There are. The breeders of Gilas are awesome.
Listen, I love Helidermids.
Me
and
too.
I think we all do. For me,
I would totally get one.
I forget the species. It's just, is it
Guatemalan beard lizard?
Yep, Guatemalan.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I love it.
Isn't it
so much. And
Albersai?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horridus are nice, but like
Albersai are very nice.
Yes. And also, like, I mean, I love me a Gila monster too. I love them. I love them so much. Because their coloration is fantastic. Their behavior, they're so strongly built. They're a unit.
Yeah. But going back to the Hardwicki, yeah, they need to be kept humid. So they need like probably, like repti soil, any type of soil. You can make their tanks bioactive, which is great. Who doesn't love bioactive tanks?
Yeah, I do. You already know I do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. What else about them? They really like crickets. They can be trained to eat mealworms. They really have an affinity for crickets, though. And they're just overall objectively the best gecko.
I can argue with that, but
Nope. It's an objective statement. It's not subjective at all. Yeah, they're definitely my favorite species of gecko.
Yes, and I object to your objective statement.
You object? How dare ye?
I do object. I would say that the best species of gecko. Oh crap, that's very hard.
What is your favorite species of gecko? Don't you like our next species that we're going to be talking about? Cave geckos.
Yes. Okay, so I don't know what my favorite species of gecko. Terrestrials. Nope.
Collin, at one point you said when we were at a show and we were right in front of a dude selling.
I know I did.
Geckos,
I did.
My
but now I'm
species.
I don't talk like that. Okay, but I don't know. It's so hard. It's so freaking hard. Okay, terrestrial. It would have to be with. It's banded geckos.
Really?
Okay. Old world would be. Old world is cave geckos.
Okay.
New world is banded geckos.
Well,
old world for arboreal.
Terrestrial banded geckos. I mean,
terrestrial. Okay, arboreal. For arboreal, old world, it would have to be the golden tails.
Okay.
And for arboreal new world geckos, it'd have to be neon geckos.
Okay.
But yeah.
Do you want to talk about cave geckos?
Sure.
They're incredible.
So cave geckos.
Take it away.
Cave geckos, another species of Euplopheric. They are amazing. So cave geckos, if you keep them, they're gonna be they hide a lot more. They live in a lot more humid environments, like in rainforests and caves. They name cave geckos.
Yeah, they're hyperly nocturnal.
Yes. So you're not gonna see them too much, but
when you do see them,
there are so many different species of cave geckos. Many people only think there are a few. They're
semi-handleable as well.
They are. If you work with them, you can get them to be handleable.
Yeah.
Just make sure you hold them at the times that they're active.
Yeah, don't stress them out either.
If you wake up anything, it's just not going to be a good time for you or the animal.
Like I'll wake up my
if you want
gecko
to make
and he flips out, so you've got to.
Yeah, just like with the Abronia, you want to make every single handling a good experience for the animal. You want to end it off on a good note, always.
Exactly.
So you don't hold them for too long.
That's how I tamed down
anything happens,
band of water snakes.
Yeah, if anything happens, you don't get it too stressed. You gotta be persistent though. Don't give up, because again, like with Tokes too, if you mess up, it's like back to square one.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. But cave geckos, man, They have red
I know.
eyes.
They got, depending on the species, they got orange or yellow bands. They have spots too.
Yeah, they're black.
Yeah, it's like emo gecko.
Emo gecko.
No.
Crawling in my skin.
Oh, please.
They're
Okay.
the emo gecko. What's not to love?
They
They're also
are
called
they're-
Chinese leopard geckos. That's what I
They
first
are.
actually heard them called.
That's the same here.
Did you
What?
learn about them from Wildcrats?
No.
Okay, because I did.
Did they do that?
They did,
Did
yeah.
they talk about them?
They talked about cave geckos one episode.
Oh.
When I was
I
just a
didn't know.
wee lad watching Wildcrats.
Bro, I'm a Zaboomafoo kind of guy. I don't know.
Zaboomafoo kind of guy. Zaboomafoo type beat, bro.
Okay, but yeah, cave geckos. Okay, cave geckos are like absolutely fantastic. So they're very tropical. I've mentioned that, and their care is not too similar to a leopard gecko.
Not at all. It's more similar to like a crested gecko or a fat tail of anything.
Yeah, they're not. Listen, they're eupopharids, but
yeah,
they're not kept like them.
They're kept kind of like Coleonyx metratus, I would say.
And Goneirosaurus.
Yeah,
is
Goneirosaurus is definitely it's one of the most derived species of eulopharids.
Yeah, you had 11 types. I believe aren't there 11 species?
Do you want me to look it up real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, you keep talking about them.
But so a lot of the species are a lot fatter, a lot chunkier, but you do have the smaller, spindly, more delicate ones, which is personally my favorite, and the species that you're gonna find more often.
Is that Haiensis that you're talking about?
Yeah. But so you have species that are just jet black, and you have ones where you can see spots. Like think of a black jaguar or a black leopard, melanistic being.
Yeah, they definitely seem
where
like
you
that.
can they're still black, but you can still see the spots on them.
Oh wow. 24
What?
Species.
Oh my gosh.
They're separated into 4 species group: the Louis group, the Lichenfelderi group, the Kuraway group, the Yingdenensis group, and the unassigned group. And the only one that is in the unassigned group is Goneirosaurus and Gollum.
We need the cave geckos.
I like my favorite species is I'll be putting the
That is me when I see a cave gecko at an expo. I just kind of hop up on the exhibition table and just start acting like Gollum.
My favorite.
We want the cave gecko. No, we don't have the space for it, but we want it. We need it. No, go home. We don't get a cave gecko.
My favorite species is called Goneirosaurus bowanglanghensis, or the Bowanglang cave gecko.
Oh, I love them.
Dude, they're found on one island in a lake.
Yeah, I know.
It's so weird.
It is. It's a fairly large island, but it's not.
Yeah, it is. It's a fairly large island, but still, it's so weird, and they're beautiful too. I found them for sale a couple times, and it's another species that I'm like,
I need
it.
This is all the species in those. Like, cave geckos are my jam. I freaking adore them.
You need to get cave. They can be housed comfortably in a 12 by 12 by 12 enclosure.
I've seen people keep them together. I have.
I personally wouldn't, but you can.
I don't think I would. I've seen people keep them in pairs.
Yeah, I think that's. I would keep a pair.
Two females.
Yeah, I would keep maybe that and like a 10-gallon. I wouldn't keep that in a 12 by 12 by 12.
And as well as if you're gonna house multiple geckos or multiple any species, make sure they have quite a few hiding spaces so they can separate if they need to.
Exactly. It's just like people. Like, I don't want to be.
Like, listen, if you were in one room with your entire family, yeah, you got a room.
Exactly.
Because if you want to be out with your family, you can, or if you want to be in your room.
Exactly. I think that's a good way to put it. But
yeah. Just visual separation, visual barriers.
But unlike people with families, they don't care if they're by themselves.
Yeah.
they'll be perfectly happy. They don't have
Perfectly.
a social requirement.
They do not.
No, not at
Which
all.
is great, because if you wanna do it, just make sure you monitor them a lot.
A lot of people will anthropomorphize reptiles in the sense that, like, oh, it's by
You need a
itself.
friend.
It's
you
gonna
need
get
a
lonely. I've got to
friend.
get it a friend, and then they get it a friend, and
And then it rips each other
they
apart.
rip each other apart. And you don't want
Yeah.
that. You don't want that at all.
No, you
A
don't.
lot of
You
reptiles
really
are
don't.
solitary. A few notable
are.
exceptions, but there are a few. Most of them are solitary, and Goneirosaurus are definitely, I would argue, one of the ones that is better when it's kept by
A
itself.
lot.
However, it can be kept in pairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, moving on from cave geckos.
Moving on.
What do you
Let's
say
move
we
on.
talk about panthers? What do you say we
I
talk
was
about panthers?
literally about to say we should talk about Paradora.
Oh,
Panther
yeah.
geckos are like the knockoff eublepharid.
They are! They look so much like
And
they got
I mean that.
the big fat heads.
Yeah, I mean that with only love, because I love panther geckos.
I do too.
Paradora are like
And
some of my favorites.
they're so knobby and bumpy.
They're like bumpy leopard geckos, but they look like they're tribally painted.
Yeah. It's like a mix between a thick tail, and a leopard gecko.
I can see that. They're like a mixture between, or like a knobtail and a leopard gecko.
Yeah. I would say a thick tail much more.
Or a thick
yeah.
tail? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they don't have too long of legs, but their legs are they're longer than leopard gecko legs. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, they're Paradora. Let me see how many species. How many do you think, Colin?
And again, you can keep on sand.
I wouldn't, because
Other species
there are more tropical species.
They are, but you can. There are species in the wild that you find on sand. It's again, it varies between species.
Yeah, it does, because they are found all throughout.
Because Pictus geckos.
Yeah, there are 22 species, and a lot of them,
Pictus are probably the most common out of Paradura.
Yeah, Pictus, Stumphii, Pictus and Stumphii are really the only two that I see fairly often in captivity, and Stumphii are a microgecko, so the Pictus is the largest species and the only that I would really recommend for a beginner, because they have about the same care as a leopard gecko.
Still pretty dang small though. They're smaller.
They're about the size of a leopard gecko.
Are they actually?
Yeah, they are, which is really weird.
I've only seen small ones.
I've seen some that are the size of leopard geckos at a show.
No, I've seen some that are the size of like a rough knobtail. That's what I usually see.
Yeah, those are probably like subadults. But yeah, there's like Stumphii are tiny. They get like 4 inches long.
Would you say you could keep Pictus on sand? Because a lot of people do. They keep Pictus on sand.
I don't know enough about Pictus to say one way or the other.
Okay, yeah, same here. I don't take our word for it. If you want one of these geckos, please research.
Research, definitely. Don't.
We don't know too much about panthers.
All I can say about panthers is that I really, really like them, and I would
aspire to learn more.
Yeah, exactly. If I learned more about them, I think that they are definitely a species that I would consider purchasing. You know? I think they're semi-arboreal as well.
Yeah, no, because you have some species.
Yeah, there's some species that are semi-arboreal. Stumphii, I think, is more of a ground gecko. They're actually called Malagasy ground geckos, panther geckos, ocelot geckos.
Don't they live in the spiny forest?
I don't know. I really don't know. I bet that there is a species from the spiny forest, but I don't know for sure.
Because if so, I would say that's a sand. Because, I mean, I've seen a lot of people put Pictus on sand.
I have too. I don't really know for sure, though.
I look up Pictus geckos and I find a picture of an Ambronia graminia. Yes!
What the heck?
That is for sure a Pictus gecko if I've ever seen one.
Oh, of course, dude. Are you looking up if they can be kept on sand?
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't want us to give out false information.
Mm-hmm.
While he does that, I will move on to the next group which we're going to talk about stone geckos.
Yeah, I mean, it's just okay. I don't think sand.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's like bearded dragons. They're on sand in the wild, but
Okay.
it's impaction.
Yeah. Stone geckos. Stone geckos are also called Diplodactylus, and if you think that is you know that scientific name from anywhere, you probably do, because crested geckos are in the family Diplodactylidae, and that means that Diplodactylus, these little stone geckos, are actually related to they're related to crested geckos, they're related to gargs, they're related to the chameleon geckos, and they're also related to the aforementioned amazing Stropurus geckos.
Oh my gosh, I look up stone geckos and I see this big, fat Argentine tegu.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a stone gecko. What do you mean?
Look up Diplodactylus. You'll probably get some better pictures.
Yeah.
There's a ton of
For sure.
species. There's a lot of them. They're all from Australia, and they live all across Australia in every environment. Yeah,
and
they're
rock.
Sand. They are a species that you can keep on sand, for sure. They burrow. They are adorable. They're also called fat-tailed geckos, but that
and you got Australian helmeted gecko.
Yeah. They're yeah, you can. I don't call them fat-tailed geckos because that would kind of be confusing because of the African fat-tails.
Because some species are just so freaking chunky.
They're chunky
and adorable.
They're tiny. I think some are considered microgeckos.
And there's a lot of different variation as well.
Oh, they are incredibly variable. They're highly variable species.
It's on the tip of my tongue. Just say it.
Conspicuous?
Not conspiculatus.
I don't know.
Okay. Conspiculatus, I think. They're chunky and they're fat.
Yeah. If you want like a cute little gecko that's fat and doesn't do anything, stone geckos are perfect. I don't blame you. I love stone geckos.
I know, and they're so pretty too.
They come in
Diplodactylus galeatus.
Yeah, Diplodactylus galeatus is really pretty.
Fantastic.
They come in mostly earth tones, and I love earth tones. Those are like some of my favorite colors.
I do too.
So these are
red sands. If you can put them on red sands, it accentuates the color.
Yeah, exactly. You can like have the whole Australian outback vibe.
I know. I love the Australian outback vibe.
Oh, same here. That's why I love like knobtails and the Stropurus, as we've already said many times at this point. And also the Diplodactylus. These guys are so underrated because they have the whole family named after them. Yet you never hear people talking about Diplodactylus, the genus itself. It's really sad.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. It is. They're also the cutest little guys.
They are. They're so insanely cute. I don't know if there's too much more we can talk about them. Diet, I guess.
Diet, just same. They're pretty easy to care for, little guys. They're fragile.
You can
handling wise.
Yeah.
But they're fairly simple to take care of.
They're a fat little ground species, and like it's just they're fat.
They're like the partridge of the gecko world.
Yeah. Don't eat them. Don't eat them.
Don't eat them.
Okay.
All right.
Tibetan frog-eyed geckos.
Tibetan frog-eyed geckos they're also called wonder geckos.
I want to know whoever gave him that game.
Someone just was like walking in the desert and saw this tiny fat little gecko and was like, "Oh, it's wonderful!
It's a wonder gecko!"
Yeah, they're found in Mongolia through Tibet, a lot of that Central Asian region.
They're fat. Their heads are so big and bulbous.
And they're extremely
and their scales
defensive.
Too. It's so weird. It's like the mix between a fish-scaled gecko. I would say, because look at the scales on that sucker. And a knobtail.
Yep. Yeah, I can see that. They have the eyes of a knobtail.
They do, and the big chunky heads. So if you want a gecko with that kind of scales, I believe you can handle them.
No, you can't.
You can't.
They're
Oh,
terrible with handling.
yeah.
They bite. They will drop their tails. They'll squirm.
Something that isn't gonna drop its scales at least.
It doesn't drop its scales. They're fun to watch. They come out at around dusk, and they're very, very active. I still wouldn't handle them. Don't handle them. We didn't say you could handle them.
We didn't say that. Cut that out, Cole. Cut it out.
Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras.
Make me look good.
No, I'm keeping all this in. I want the viewers to see how.
Know my dumbness. Know my stupidity.
Our stupidity, Brett.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean,
exists. I like this to be not.
We're not here to be too professional.
Yeah, we're not here to be too professional. We're just here to talk about reptiles, man.
Oh my gosh! I just remembered that Natalia's mountain horn dragons exist.
Huh?
I just remembered that mountain horn dragons exist. And...
You know, I wanted one a long time ago. Like when I was in 6th grade, I really wanted a mountain horn dragon.
They're pretty. They're just pretty. I don't think I would ever keep them. They're just pretty.
I wouldn't keep them either. I like them, but I used to really want them.
They're not. They're not my jam. They're just really pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, frog-eyed geckos. They're pretty cool. Is there
oh
any
my
more?
gosh, their throats are so chunky. Oh my gosh, they're.
Collin, was there any other geckos that you wanted to?
There's Russian frog-eyed. There's Russian frog-eyed.
Yeah,
geckos.
they're found in Russia as well. They're found all throughout that Central Asian region. Those steppe pastoral lands. They're the Mongol geckos, if you will.
Yes, they ride on tiny horses and attack China. They ride on tiny horses. They attack the cave geckos' walls. The cave geckos really got problems with them.
The cave geckos, they don't put the two together. They absolutely hate each other.
Yeah, they'll ride in their tiny horses. They also their stubby arms. You wouldn't believe it, but they know how to fire bows.
Dude, they fire bows like something I've never seen.
I mean, like this is why you don't want to handle them. They'll attack.
This is why, this is why you don't want to handle them. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, do you think we should wrap it up?
I think we should.
I think we should. We've been going.
I've had an absolute blast.
This has been incredible. I've never had so much fun talking about geckos.
I know. We nerd out. We talk about geckos. We love it. You love it. Yes.
Exactly, dude. Honestly, I want the Herps and Derps podcast to be like this. Just a place where people can
just nerd out about reptiles.
Just nerd out about reptiles, man. That's
fun, yeah.
At the end of the day, that's the best part about the reptile hobby. Is that you can meet people.
Yeah.
You can
there's
talk
so many
about
fantastic
reptiles.
species. So much stuff you can talk about. So much stuff you can keep. And so much to learn and so much to have fun with friends about. You can share it with people, share your love for these animals, share your knowledge.
Animals.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing people, even more amazing reptiles, man.
Oh, yeah.
So, that being said, I hope you guys learned something.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a like. If you want to see more, you can subscribe.
Hit the bell icon.
If you don't want to, that's fine. Have some fun.
If you don't want to, that's fine. Go ahead. Give this video a dislike.
Oh. I don't know. Don't egg them on, Cole.
Don't egg them on. Do it. Bet. No balls, you won't.
If you want to see more, I don't know when we're gonna get the next one out. Like as I said, we were pretty inconsistent, but I really want to do this. Like if we can make this a weekly thing, I don't know if we can swing it.
I don't think we'll be able to make it a weekly thing. We could try monthly.
But we could try. I say
monthly.
we could do a few in a month if we really put our minds to it.
We probably could. If tell us what your favorite obscure gecko was, or if we didn't talk about one that you really wanted. Leave a comment and we'll mention it in the next podcast.
Also, what do you want to talk about in the next podcast? We could do Abronias.
I think next podcast we should do Abronia because you would not shut up about it. You would not shut up about Abronia during the gecko.
Okay.
Well, yeah, man.
Finally, quench my nothing can quench it. I need help.
Can quench the Abronia thirst. Yeah, man. We'll do the Abronia podcast next. How does that sound?
That sounds really, really spicy. So you too, Cole, do your research on Abronia.
I will do my research on Abronia. And would you want to talk about like Elagaria and the Texas alligator lizards as
Ew.
well?
Ew.
Texas alligator lizards are cool. Okay. We'll save this for the next one.
I say Vasconcelos cooler, but if you enjoyed it, this is actually the end.
This is actually the end. Leave a like, subscribe, please subscribe. Hit the bell icon, because I mean YouTube, the YouTube algorithms like, hey, if you like something, then you'll subscribe to the channel. Remember, it's free. You can unsubscribe later. Leave a like. Hit the bell icon if you want to be notified every time we upload an awesome podcast just like this one. And we both also have personal YouTube channels. I'll leave them in the description, the show notes. Mine is Kole and Sonai.
I'm King Herper.
Yep, and with that being said, happy herping. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Goodbye.